his chest, easily dealing with the enemy. Zhang Bao raises his weapon to eye level to check how much Kai, compared to other monsters, has gathered. A voice from under the captain's feet attracts his attention. Looking down, he sees someone's corpse, which is inside the cursed armor. Zhang Bao from the roof asks King Roth about why there was a man inside. He thought they were empty. The princess is also not a little surprised by this fact. The king calls them possessed by the cursed armor. As a rule, there is nothing under them, but this is only in its original form. When demons find a body, they consume it. They become stronger and take away the energy of a person. Having opened its mouth, the cursed armor sucks the bodies inside itself and does not let go. Such types are much stronger than ordinary ones, and there are a lot of them on the battlefield. The captain notices that after absorbing the cursed armor, the body may get out of control, but the body he found seems to be exhausted. The cursed armor are disgusting creatures, but Zhang Bao can't help but note that he is the same now. The army and the survivors reach the church. Although this place looks abandoned, it is quite comfortable inside. There is food and water. Survivors even have parties, as King Roth says. He is also happy that there is a place left where he could relax. The area around the building is fortified. There is only one hidden entrance, through which they enter now. The king loudly announces that he has returned, but when he goes inside, he sees no people, only a bunch of cursed armor. He stops and can't believe it. Where are the survivors? Roth had fought so hard to keep them safe, and now what? Everything is ruined by these bastards. 3 demons attack the old king at once, and he does nothing to defend himself. Zhang Bao appears in front of him, repelling the attack. Roth mumbles about how this could have happened. Why did this happen? His country, his people, his knights, his wife and children are all dead. The only thing he treasured was taken away. He furiously attacks the armor, but the princess asks him to stop. There are too many of them. Even the possessed here. Zhang Bao jumps forward. He uses Kai absorption, and when the iron armor falls off, people fall out of it, inside of which there are survivors. Many of them are still breathing. The princess rushes to help one of them, but the man tells her to run away from here. She reassures him, King Roth and Zhang Bao are here, so everything will be fine. The survivor reports that there are not only cursed armor here, and, turning his neck at a strange angle, asks the company to be more careful. The captain and the king have dealt with most of it. Zhang Bao asks the old man if he is okay, but he does not answer, only constantly repeats the words cursed armor like a mantra. His mind clouded, his thoughts turned red. He attacks the captain, and he asks why the king is fighting with him. Roth bends his knees, putting his hand to his head, and a pink flame begins to develop behind his back, which all the damned armor has. Is it the evil energy on the king's body? The princess, still standing next to the wounded man, notices that the mouth is strange. The survivor tells that their king is not the same as before since he returned from the battle. He brought them to church, promised protection, and his mood changed dramatically. He began attacking them indiscriminately, scaring people only more. The mouth attracted the cursed armors and watched them devour people. Many were frightened and ran away, but the king caught them and returned them. The princess realizes that all this time people were shouting not because of Zhang Bao, but because of King Roth. How could this happen? The captain finds out what the problem is. The old man has cursed armor on his body, and therefore he is obsessed with them. This armor, compared to others, is a completely different story. Even though he is now a demon himself, the king continues to wish death to his own kind and attacks Zhang Bao over and over again. The captain sees that he has lost the remnants of his mind. It's even easier for him. The battle of Bao against the scoundrel begins. The king cuts the air in front of him with a powerful sword blow, attacking the captain. Zhang Bao begins to suspect that his attacks are ineffective. He cuts down the opponent, but it was like hitting a pile of stones with a wooden stick. The transformation allowed the company to be covered with Kai, which greatly increased the man's defense. Now the armor of the company looks like the needles of a hedgehog, on top of which a pink flame burns. He attacks the captain and knocks him to the ground. The inhabitants look at their king and do not recognize him. Now it's not their protector, but a real monster. The princess is more worried about the captain. Zhang Bao jumps up from the ground and immediately runs back a few meters. With the help of the company's armor, you can not only defend yourself, but also attack. And this is extremely unfair to the captain. Is it really a shell? Well, if the king wants to fight one-on-one, then fine. He will have a duel. The captain summons the power of Excalibur. For him to use Kai to become cooler, at least the basics of the technique. Zhang Bao uses a Kai control kick, a flying kick, and attacks the king. He conducts this attack for the second time, since the first one did not succeed. The captain stands face to face with his opponent and asks how the mouth has come to this. In that case, Zhang Bao will wake him up now. They fight with each other as if they are dancing a purple and orange dance. A powerful blow, and the armor of both the king and the captain shatter into pieces. Violet is horrified. Both kings are defeated. Excalibur's forces are gathering him back. The fact that Zhang Bao was blown up doesn't mean anything. He's just a shell. The captain inserts a company into the armor and uses a secret Sang technique, lightning drop. The king falls to his knees, defeated, and the sword begins to absorb his Kai. The golden glow completely envelops Zhang Bao and it seems that he sees the memories of King Ruff. He hears a voice that says that even after forming an alliance, they are not comparable to the four-eyed demon. Any conflicts in the future will lead to deaths. In these memories, the army of the cursed armor is numerous and fierce, and King Roth can't do anything about it. But a man can't die here, he just has to go back to Kingston. If he is not there, then Roth's house will be destroyed. Even if the cursed armor is not destroyed, the king will defend his house to the very end. When the king returns to his native land, news comes to him that the cursed armor has attacked Kingston. There was a fierce battle. He ordered his men to hide in the church. At some point, Roth stops in search of his soldiers and realizes that only he survived. There's nothing but damned armor around him. Only one thought can be traced among all the memories, to protect Kingston and destroy the demons. The cursed Kai is coming out of the armor. However, maybe it's just the king's imagination. But he feels a surge of energy, which is fueled by the four-eyed demon behind his back. Now the cursed armor looks somehow different in the eyes of Rotav. Human figures are more visible in them and they have become more numerous. All demons must disappear. He didn't hear the screams of his men, who begged him not to do it. The road after the king turns scarlet with the blood of his people. Suddenly Roth's mind clears. Oh, where is he? Where's the damn armor? The survivors run away from their king screaming, and this throws the man into shock. He is their leader. He will protect them. Memories are interrupted. Zhang Bao looks at the sword and at Roth sitting on his knees. The king wholeheartedly wanted to protect his subjects, but he was possessed by evil Kai, destroyed it and does not remember it. In the end, the king regretted his actions. A real tragedy. People ask if King Roth is defeated. He captured them like a damned armor, and they absolutely did not expect that he was in league with them. Zhang Bao stands up for him. Everything is not what it seems. When the captain wants to tell already what happened, the king says to run. Escape as soon as possible. Roth reports that they can see everything. They're almost here. Zhang Bao and Violet raise their eyes to the sky. Up there, a pointed star of purple color flares up with a bright flame. A huge amount of Kai energy is flying right into them. After running away, the fallen comet forms a small crater and a shock wave that carries a cloud of dust and stones towards the knights. Someone rises from a fallen star, leaning on a sword. It immediately becomes clear that this is a person. The princess quickly realizes who is standing in front of them. The second of the 11 kings, the commander of all armies, King Bai Kai. But Roth had said that the other 10 kings had fallen, so what was he doing here? Apparently, he, like the previous king, is just a puppet obsessed with cursed armor. The former commander stands in the flame that accompanies all demons and there is no mercy in him. Lord Karl orders to prepare. The battle is not over yet. The king says what Excalibur and Rhoda feel. There can be no mistake. The man strikes, calling for a stampede of hundreds of armor and demons run out from under his feet, climbing on top of each other in a desire to get to the prey first. The demons read out a strange poem. 1 rider. There will be no bones left. 10 riders. There will be no blood left. 100 riders. No one will be left alive. The last lines are read by the army commander himself. He reaches out to Excalibur, asking him to come back. Zhang Bao stands in front of him. There is a huge difference in height between the king and the captain. The damned one asks to give him the sword, otherwise he will destroy everything here. Zhang Bao says they are his subjects. He will protect them like a true king. The commander raises his sword. Is it a mortal who dares to disobey the order of one of the 11? The captain is not afraid of this, as if he had never seen kings. An old mirror from Excalibur appears with the usual request to accept a new knight. Zhang Bao instructs, accepts, and points a weapon at the king. He will fight and not alone. Now his mouth is behind him. The commander asks the company if he will also disobey him. However, what does it mean to disobey? Zhang Bao advises the enemy to be simpler. The princess's army is also eager to fight. While their king is fighting the rebel commander, they will attack the cursed armor. They will defeat Bai Kai altogether. The cursed king is very impressed that the captain can control demons, but there is no equal in the strength of Bai Kai. He uses the secret flow technique of the cursed armor of the king. The demons form a mountain, at the top of which is Bai Kai. Zhang Bao regains consciousness. He doesn't know how the captain did it, but why did he let him regain his humanity? Zhang Bao admits that he should repent of his sins, But death is not an option at all. Roth should be responsible for those who believed in him, because he is none other than the king. A man should live, overcoming pain and suffering, actions to atone for their sins. They fight side by side. The captain won't admit why he gave the company a second chance. He still won't understand that he no longer sees the distortion of Kai in his body. There is no more time for empty conversations. Zhang Bao attacks Bai Kai, who asks if King Roth is running away anymore, as he did during the battle with his fellow rulers, to take care of himself. But the commander doesn't blame him at all. On the contrary, Bai Kai feels sorry for his former colleague. When he escaped, he made contact with the cursed armor. Bai Kai chooses Rhoda as his target. He strikes with a sword and tells about the four-eyed lord, the highest being in this world. Obeying him is the only sure way. The four-eyed demon is the real order of this world. Roth asks not to turn Bai Kai into what he has become. How will the filed look at it? This does not enlighten the commander-in-chief. The subjects will be proud of him, because they gave their lives to become part of his power. The skulls of people really burst out of the flame of Bai Kai, and their screams before death are heard. Princess Violet is having a hard time looking at this. How could he use his people for such purposes? Zhang Bao clings to the words about the four-eyed demon. He asks to tell him everything that Bai Kai knows, otherwise he may not expect anything good. But for the captain's opponent, these words are just an empty sound. Excalibur absorbs the commander-in-chief's energy, but it feels as if it is infinite. There is no end to it, no edge, it does not weaken. On the contrary, every exhalation of Zhang Bao takes away a lot of Kai from him. He crosses swords with Bai Kai and realizes that his cursed armor is inferior to the armor of the king. In the previous world, Zhang Bao had the 4th level of Kai cultivation, and his opponent, the commander-in-chief, had the 9th. The difference in strength is enormous. Bai Kai explains this phenomenon by the fact that it contains the energies of a four-eyed demon. He orders the captain to obey, because he is not worthy of owning such a legendary weapon as Excalibur. The princess attacks the king from behind, responding by saying that he is not worthy to possess him. The damned one remembers her, Princess Cariona, who has now taken the wrong side. Now it's no wonder that all a girl can do is watch her country being destroyed. Violet doesn't believe he could say that. Bai Kai says that she does not even see the reality of what is happening. Suddenly the world turns black. 2 more cursed armor appeared on the sides of the king. He informs them that they are already here, King Ullens, King Khalid's, King Nance. That is, all the other 11 kings. Is the princess surprised by this? Besides Roth, the others received the blessing of their four-eyed overlord. They seem to have become stronger and more powerful. People were late. 10 great kings team up with each other to fight Zhang Bao. He swears to himself, there is not enough Kai for everyone. Even the captain cannot cope with one. However, he does not give up. He uses the secret technique of Kang Xin and then runs away. The captain picks up the princess, saying that he used the secret spell to increase her speed. Now they cannot defeat such strong opponents, even with Excalibur. Kings let these fools escape. Those who do not understand the greatness of the four-eyed ruler should be killed. But they can just get Excalibur out of the stone. The largest of the kings plunges his sword into the ground and it is shaken by a terrible tremor. Everything is starting to collapse, as is the exit from Kingston. Even the statues of the 11 kings have fallen. Zhang Bao tells them to run, and he will detain them as much as he can. He's trying to reason with the rulers. Didn't the statues represent their honor? The captain will not allow such a legacy to be destroyed before his eyes. The king's mouth covers the boulders flying into Zhang Bao. For him, statues are a relic of the past that will one day fall and pave the way for a new generation. Roth holds them with his back, saying that this is how he will atone for all his sins. This is his last wish before going to the ancestral world. If he happens to see Zhang Bao again, then Roth wants to call him king. He doesn't say it out loud, but the man thanks the captain for the fact that it is thanks to him that the cursed armor will be destroyed. Finally, the king shouts to the princess that she will become an excellent knight. Violet remembers those few moments spent side by side with him, how he lied to them, how he changed right before their eyes. But all this is complete nonsense. Roth was always himself. With tears in her eyes, she says goodbye to him, but does not dare to say it out loud. 10 kings ask their former colleague why he thinks he can stop them. They will kill them anyway, whether the mouth gets in the way or not. The true ruler only laughs in response. He is extremely pleased with the current situation. He remembers how they argued for years on the topic of who of the 11 is the greatest king, in order to eventually get the sad answer, no one. There was no such person among them. It's so funny, right? Someone in response asks him the question that does Roth really see the greatest in that guy with an Excalibur? What does he have that they don't? Are all the qualities of a real king? Roth's words may seem absurd, but they, the mortal minions of the four-eyed demon, will never understand this. And then he strikes one of his former friends from the foot. Violet's knights ask if they can't move faster. What if they catch up? But running, according to Zhang Bao, is pointless. I wonder if there is a place nearby where he can restore his Kai. The princess reports about an abandoned castle nearby. She directs them to Carrion, a city destroyed by the cursed armor, the place Violet had once called home. The princess's knights are really gone. No one expected the mouth to delay the 11 kings so much. Ollins is ordered to find Excalibur. This king looks like a cross between a human and cursed armor, the head of a demon and the naked torso of a man with a cross-shaped scar on his right chest. He complains that their Kai is too weak. The king will only be able to determine the direction. However, this is enough for Bai Kai. In any case, those who escaped will not escape. The army is forced to slow down. Zhang Bao has fallen and is not getting up. Violet is fussing over him, but she is powerless to help in any way. The last thing the captain said was that he needed time to meditate, and then he just fell down. Meanwhile, Zhang Bao is transferred to the Hall of Camelot, where he expected to be after cultivation. Vivian pretends to whine about being so sad. When the captain asks what she is doing, the girl bursts into sweet speeches about how he must be so sad after such a loss, and as his servant, she cries and is sad for him. Vivian has built a small altar with a portrait of Zhang Bao in armor, and there is a pile of candles and food from the modern world at the bottom. The man is not sure that she does not send a curse on him. The next moment, all skepticism disappears from him, and the captain covers his face with his hand. He miscalculated, did not think that there would be someone so strong in this world, and even more than one. These kings need Excalibur, and they will stop at nothing, even exterminated their own people. To defeat them, Zhang Bao must significantly increase his Kai. The darkness of the Camelot Hall confirms how little energy the captain has right now. Previously, this place was filled with cursed knights, and now it is empty, except for Vivian and Zhang Bao. However, they were all devastated, not just the hall. Vivian explains that knights imprisoned in Excalibur are equal to Kai in a man's true body. In the last battle, he had exhausted them too much. After Zhang Bao absorbed their energy, they disappeared and left the girl alone in the sword space. When asked if the Kai that the captain kept for returning to his world has been absorbed, Vivian giggles nastily, and then takes out a very small light, the size of a woman's little finger, securely hidden in Vivian's sleeves. The girl is able to control how Zhang Bao's Kai is used, because she is the consciousness of Excalibur. When the captain's energy was absorbed in battle, Vivian did not use the delayed Kai, but began to expend life support Kai, and that is why the man's body was so exhausted and now in such a deplorable state. Zhang Bao, to the maid's surprise, lets out a relaxed sigh. If he can still return to his world to avenge his brothers and sisters, then a small donation of vitality is worth nothing. Besides, the captain's true body is already dead. He notices that earlier the place for storing Kai in favor of moving was different. Vivian happily explains that this is all because the upper limit has increased. She made it up herself. Although Zhang Bao has no Kai now, during the battle with Bai Kai, the energy storage capacity increased, so the shell changed. The captain thoughtfully stretches his hand in the candle. As soon as he touches it, a flame of great power ignites, which throws Vivian back, and Zhang Bao himself barely stays on his feet. This is quite expected. The so-called upper limit is the same as the steps of the Kang Zin technique. Until you overcome the upper one and reach a certain stage, it will not matter how much Kai is spent. The level will not change. Gathering his energy in the palm of his hand, the captain reaches the 7th stage of Kai cultivation at once. Vivian worshipped their master's Kai. Zhang Bao replies that she looks like this to intimidate others. He doesn't have enough Kai right now, so he can't use the appropriate skills, even though he has reached the 7th stage. But he can absorb enough Kai and reach the 8th level of cultivation. Will be considered a master. The captain already sees how he will be called the unsurpassed Zhang Bao, and he himself will be a head taller than those 10 kings. It's time to deal with all of them. Vivian tells him to get energy using breathing techniques as soon as possible. Or does the owner suddenly want the maid to help him? The girl pulls her plump lips to him, but the captain does not notice her advances. He reflects on the fact that the basic methods of Kai cultivation are too slow, and, by the way, they are being pursued, so there is even less time. Fortunately, after reaching the 5th stage of cultivation, Zhang Bao can use the secret technique of Kang Zin from the alchemy section. In his 2 hands, he collects round balls that look like delicate buds of golden-colored roses. Although the captain had tried to create pills before, it turned out to be a disaster. How does it all happen? After reaching the 5th level of cultivation, The master can better control the TS and produce pills with a wonderful effect. Some of them can even increase the absorption of Kai so much that in one breath you can collect as much energy as is usually absorbed in a day. Now the captain needs to get the raw materials for such a pill. Vivian immediately offers options: her hair, maybe saliva, or a loving look. However, Zhang Bao prefers to look outside. Touching their foreheads, he finally says that although it is strange, but the captain is sincerely grateful to his maid for her help. Vivian does not remain in debt. She replies that it does not cost her anything at all, and she no longer wants to tease him. She also asks a question in which she wonders why, since her master needs Kai so much, he just won't take it from the night girl. Zhang Bao promises to use this option only in the most extreme case, since Violet already has little energy. When the captain wakes up, he sees the princess in front of him again. But something new has appeared on his armor. The armor is patched with pieces of iron, and children's drawings of flowers are painted on them. The princess reports that Zhang Bao's body has suffered and worries if he has gotten better. The captain notices that the girl is really young. She even painted on bandages, but she didn't do it at all. The bandage was applied by Lord Carl. He finally took off his helmet, and under it was not the face of some terrible troll, as the captain expected him to see, but a quite handsome black-haired young man with a crop haircut, long hawk eyebrows, and an ugly wide scar on his neck. The guy justifies that if it wasn't for the princess's order, he wouldn't have done it. Zhang Bao asks to explain it for the cute flowers. Carl says that it was necessary to decide, and therefore he chose something cute. The captain quickly changes the drawing to something related to his world. He asks why they don't move, and the young man seems annoyed by this question. Not everyone here is like Zhang Bao. Knights need rest and food. Carl says that he will prepare food for everyone in a minute, and the captain immediately asks where he will get everything from. The answer is very quick. The Lord just shakes food and kitchen utensils out of his huge armor, and the princess declares that Carl carries everything with him. As a result, whole grain bread, freshly caught rabbit, beans and spices turn out to be on the tables of the army. The last ingredient is very expensive, so Carl wears the key to the box with them on his belt. Due to the high price of spices, only experienced chefs work with them. As if, like some kind of potion, Carl adds spices and grinds them with special care. The Lord pronounces the rules before eating, which state that you should not forget to use personal appliances during the meal. You should cut meat and bread with a knife, hold the food with your left hand, but do not put it in your mouth. To eat, you need to use a spoon or fork in your right hand. No need to sit too close to each other. You can talk, but within reasonable limits. In special cases, it is allowed to do whatever you want. After sniffing the food, Zhang Bao realizes that spices are what you need to create a pill. He gets up from his seat and demands to give him a box with them. But Carl is categorical. These things are the most important treasure after the princess. The captain insists, because he will not use them for cooking, but in order to defeat the 11 kings. When Zhang Bao creates his weapon, Carl insists that he take care of the spices as much as possible, because the captain is just wasting them. After some time, strange-looking lumps with faces appear on the man's hand, which he presents as the key to defeating kings. Pills increase the absorption of Kai flow. If you eat a few, you can even prolong your life, smooth your skin, and cleanse your intestines. There's nothing like these little things in the captain's world. The princess calls the weapons goat poo. Looking closer, Zhang Bao realizes that they really are similar. Apparently, he forgot something. The captain picks a flower that may be able to become a substitute, but in his world he has never met such. Violet picks up a bud and calls it a black tulip. There used to be a lot of these flowers, but after the cursed armor came, the tulips began to wither. Only Carrion Castle had to have something left. This black flower is a symbol of chivalry, because the birthplace of the princess is the birthplace of the first knight. Many people come there with tulips to show respect. Zhang Bao thinks that the first knight was a princess, but he is severely mistaken. The discoverer in knighthood was called Lancelot. The captain decides to absorb the Kai of the first, as this will significantly increase the stage. Well, we rested, we can continue on the road. On Vrit, besides the 11 kings, there are others. Violet's father, King Lyode, is one of them. Lyode has always helped the poor and supported justice. Then he fled to his state, seeking help and shelter. The king's city grew. Eventually, it grew to such a size that it became visible for hundreds of miles and bore the name Carrion. However, even his remains are not visible now. On the way to the ruined city, Zhang Bao does not have any Kai left. It feels like a strong thirst when you walk through a hot desert. But not only this thirst leads the captain to Carrion, he seeks to find the first knight and the black tulip. The princess leads Zhang Bao and her army to Carrion's remains. All a man sees is a pile of stones, and he can't see the flowers he needs. Violet explains this: the cursed army destroyed the whole city to the ground. Why didn't the first knight defend his city? It turns out that Lancelot died in battle against the cursed army. In those days, his shining red armor struck terror into thousands of enemies and he was not crushed. But now only burnt fragments remain. Lancelot used to teach the princess, and to die in battle, sacrificing himself, is a great honor. Noticing some plants that have sprouted roots right in the stones, Zhang Bao rushes to them, hoping that these are the same black tulips. However, instead of small flowers, the plants suddenly open their buds, becoming the size of a human head. It turns out to be the cursed armor that swallowed the tulips, but the captain feels their energy inside and decides to check if it is possible to get them. Using Kai turns out to be not the best idea. There is so little of it, and the flowers devour its remnants. It's time to use the pills, although not ready to the end without flowers. In addition, there will probably be side effects. The buds are closing. Now it's just iron sprouts that look extremely suspicious. Zhang Bao doesn't care what they look like. The main thing is to get black tulips. He breaks several buds and then cursed armor appears from them. While everyone is scared of such an unexpected turn, the captain orders them to get away and destroys everything around. The knights cannot help but note that he behaves like a drunkard who shows his true face. Violet notices a granite with the symbol of King Kraylan's, also known as the King of the Rose, one of the 11 who was very ambitious and wanted to conquer all the lands of the continent. He was a ruthless monster. The damned buds must be the work of Kraylan's. Perhaps he is somewhere nearby. Zhang Bao continues to behave like a madman. Sweet delicious damn armor, come here. The captain is starving. He uses the secret technique of Kang Xin, a tornado strike, scattering his opponents right and left. Some special frisky flower attacks a man with a sword. Another large cursed armor from the back jumps on the princess. Carl covers her, but then other demon companions rush to the rescue. They turn out to be too persistent. However, suddenly one of them just takes and attacks the other cursed armor. There's clearly something wrong with him. The big sprout suppresses the evil Kai for some reason. The outer layer of it begins to collapse and then red armor rises from a pile of stones. Lancelot himself. Tears come to the princess's eyes. Is this really her favorite teacher? Lancelot recognizes Violet. Zhang Bao is lying relaxed on the ground. Half-finished pills cause the side effect, terrible hunger. The ground on which the captain is lying suddenly turns out to be Carl's knee. Now there is no princess next to the man. At this moment she enjoys the company of another. Lancelot is hanging on the girl's shoulder and seems to recognize only her from all those present. Zhang Bao asks if Violet's teacher should be dead, and the princess is unsure of the answer. However, the captain feels the evil Kai of King Kraylan's from him. The man suggests that, probably, these two met in battle and Lancelot lost, becoming possessed instead of not dying. And now the true Kai in his body is fighting the evil energy of King Clarence, and even if the evil one is suppressed, the spirit of the red armor is unstable. Lancelot has only the most important memories and views. Knights celebrate the honor and sacrifice of the first. Even in such a half-dead state, he protects the princess. Violet bitterly notices that he hasn't changed a bit. Zhang Bao jumps up to Lancelot and asks him to let him absorb his Kai. He dies just like Excalibur. The red armor clings to the sword. Lancelot turns to the captain, saying that he did not fight like a knight, and bothered the princess for all sorts of trifles. Apparently, this was done without any sense of honor. Lancelot asks for an answer to the question, will Zhang Bao die for the sake of honor? The captain fleetingly says that he probably would have done it depending on the situation. And now he's damn hungry. He absolutely doesn't care about honor at the moment. However, Lancelot suppresses Excalibur's power. Can he control his Kai in a way that a sword cannot absorb it? Meanwhile, the knight is convinced of his opinion that Zhang Bao has no honor, so whatever he needed from Lancelot, the captain never received his recognition. It's all too much for Zhang Bao. It's incredibly difficult to get black tulips. It's even more difficult to get the Kai of the first knight, and the man is so hungry. Will he, the leader of the Kang Xin sect, die of hunger in this world? The princess stands over Zhang Bao, who has fainted. Violet says he needs a tincture of tulip and those balls of sheep manure. Lancelot asks why a girl needs such a person who is not ready to make sacrifices for the sake of fame. In response, Violet tells that it is this man who has the qualities of a true ruler, and it was he who pulled the sword out of the stone. The cursed armor begins to attack again, and the army decides to split up. Carl will lead the squad in one direction, the rest will protect King Bao. Lancelot will follow the princess. He is raging. How did a man who is alien to the concept of honor turn out to be a true king? The princess begins to worry. Of course, the captain said that the teacher's condition is extremely unstable, and he is very different from his former self. Lancelot cannot trust a man who cannot make sacrifices for the sake of important things, because the knight himself is just like that. Violet protects him. Zhang Bao made them find hope again. But Lancelot continues to doubt whether he is really able to control the sword. What the knight has seen before doesn't look promising. The princess almost convinces the teacher that, yes, the captain is worthy of Excalibur. When Lancelot sees the goat balls, which Zhang Bao calls pills that will save their 11 kings, Lancelot wonders how much you need to lose self-esteem to eat this stuff. The first knight kills all the cursed armor that tried to kill them before, but suddenly the corpses begin to merge together. Demonic flowers begin to come out of the ground in huge quantities, and the princess brings tulips to the captain. She puts flowers on Zhang Bao as if he is already dead, and it all looks kind of strange. But it starts to work. Yellow smoke is gathering over the captain's body. Lancelot leans over the lying man. The problems are only being added. In addition to Zhang Bao, a huge sprout towers over them with a huge threat. They entangle the tower, and the princess sees in this plant the king of roses. She recalls how in one of the arguments with her father, this man threatened that the city would be absorbed sooner or later. After the demons took over his mind, he turned into this horror. Lancelot remembers the Rose King as a greedy cannibal maniac. The princess and her teacher are rushing into battle. Until the captain wakes up, she must try to buy time. This place is her home, and even if it was destroyed, Violet can't let the monster continue to torment the city. Lancelot praises his ward. She has become an amazing warrior. The events are transferred to 7 years ago, when the carrion was still blooming and smelled. The girls on the streets were discussing the main character of the nightly competitions, who is not only good-looking, but also has excellent manners. At the training ground, the first knight, Lancelot, announces the knighthood selection. He asks why the princess is here, and behind her is 12-year-old Carl. Violet herself is 9. On her shoulder sits a small white cat with a haughty look. The girl asks in a commanding tone to train her so that she can become a great knight. However, the knight's path is not for a princess. Violet insists, because she is her father's only child, she will inherit the throne in the future. But few people like a woman to rule the country. She wants to prove that she can do anything, so she needs to become a knight. The maid tries to take the princess back to the castle, but Lancelot allows her to stay. Since she is here with the consent of the king, then fine. The teacher announces the gathering at the training ground at 5 in the morning. At the age of 12, she did not lose her ardor, and Carl still followed her tail. After that, she herself began to scold her teacher for being late at 3 in the morning. They were engaged in a field of black tulips. The princess must understand what it means to be a knight. Self-sacrifice, heroism, modesty, simplicity, kindness, honesty, loyalty. If Violet wants to become a knight, she must remember the spirit of chivalry. At one of the trainings, the princess was badly injured, and at night she could not sleep because of the pain in her arm. The cat, Silver, was worried about her, but she calmed the pet by talking about how a knight should not cry because of such a trifle. In the future, she will face even greater difficulties, so she will cope with this. The cat brings her a black tulip as a sign of support and a reminder of chivalry. The next morning, Violet was gone. Yesterday she went to prepare for the hunt, but fell behind the others. Today, the princess has not returned. The girl must be in danger. Violet, meanwhile, was with Silver in the forest and was running from a strange monster.